Day 2, ladies and gentlemen, of 1000 Dawns. Now, by all accounts, technically this should be day 3 because yesterday was day 2. However, we're going to call today day 2 for a very specific reason. Now, for those who, the eagle-eyed viewers out there who saw that I did post a video last night, allow me to explain, as I feel like I've got to give someone an explanation, I suppose. I caught something from my brother-in-law, and I went to work pretty much feeling shit all day long. And I ended up looking like the biggest twat in the history of croupiers. So by the time I finally got home at about 7 o'clock, I showered for about 30 minutes, crawled into bed at 7:30, and literally did not get out of bed until 11 o'clock the next morning. And as you can probably guess, as you could probably get, I don't sound really 100%. With that being said, there is a very, I'm glad we're going to address this early on because I want people to understand something very, very important. You could probably understand my perspective about keeping up a tradition that is not necessarily synonymous with the British about having a stiff upper lip, i.e. being brazen, learning to get on with things that you don't really want to do, or if you don't really feel like you're running at full capacity to do something. It's true that, you know what, for what they're worth, I still stuck it out, because I'm certainly not going to go down for having an F in attitude. And, well, what can I say? Ever since I got out of bed today, I've pretty much done everything in my power to brace it out to prove that, guess what, I am tougher than a virus. It went about as well as you could suspect, because I had to do about an hour's worth of driving. Literally whilst having orders barked in my head every 5 seconds. Honestly, the way they were talking, they talked as though I'd literally never driven a car before. And I'll tell you the truth, guys. 1st of February, coming up, I would have been driving on the roads now with a full license for 3 years. I think I've proven that I can actually get my head around driving. You know, I guess what? Here's the range of vehicles I've driven over the last 3 years. A 2-door, a 4-door, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, electric, petrol, diesel, SUVs, stuff like that, and vans. I've driven all sorts. So guess what? I feel that all things considered, and manual and automatic. So I don't. It's it's one of those things you don't take kindly to being told things that you already know. And honestly, I have been, for those who have known me a little bit longer, they know fine well that I would describe myself as rather stoic and calm and somebody who actually is really, really good under pressure. I'm not going to build myself up and say I have nerves of steel, despite evidence to the contrary. Look at that. I've had this played for nearly 15 years now. Anyway, yeah, just it's not a good look on anybody when you have to be told things that you already know, when you're trying to concentrate and they're not even willing to give you the benefit of the doubt for being at best 20%. However, I'm just going to put today down and yesterday as just being shit days. And you know what? Shit days happen. And I'm glad we're addressing this as early as we do, because guess what? The sooner we do address it, the more it makes sense that, guess what? Don't put yourself in harm's way. And I reckon there are dozens, if not hundreds of people at the moment right now who, because they've told me themselves that they've tried as hard as they can to stay off the drink and to stay away from a lot of bad stuff. Guess what? It's not as easy as it looks. And sometimes the hardest thing in the world for me is to stay calm and to stay composed and relaxed in moments where I really do not want to. But as I said again, ladies and gentlemen, it's a trait not uncommon to the British. Not that you'll ever hear this from any so-called patriot, if you will, in this country, but what can I say? But on the evidence of that, they know much about English culture as probably you or I do. Glad to know what side I did wake up on when I got out of bed this morning. Anyway, with all that addressed, now on to the fun stuff. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, is my 28th birthday. And guess what? It's going to be a time to relax. It's going to be a time to just take the weight off my feet. But it's also going to be a bit of a time, ladies and gentlemen, to get ready for, quite frankly, the challenges ahead. Because, yes, there are challenges ahead. And you know what? If ever there was a good time, ladies and gentlemen, to start gearing myself towards those sort of avenues, now is probably a good time. Because guess what? What do you think I'm more interested in doing? Changing for the better by literally improving every single thing I've always wanted to be? Or are you really trying to suspect that I'm really only interested in staying exactly the way I am? And with all that being said, I think we'll pick the former. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Refreshed, relaxed, ready to go.